Jacko was no fool. Well, maybe a little. Okay, sometimes. He had a knack for getting himself into situations that were less than ideal, but he always managed to find a way out. His friends often joked that he had 9 lives, like a cat. But Jacko knew better. It wasn't luck, it was his nose for opportunity. All right, Jacko was a bit of a fool. He had a tendency to trust the wrong people and make questionable decisions, but he was also resourceful and quick on his feet. But he knew a deal when he smelled one. His instincts were sharp, honed by years of navigating the underbelly of the city. He could sense when something was off, and today his senses were tingling. Today the deal smelled like manure and cheap incense. It was a combination that made his stomach churn, but also piqued his curiosity. What kind of deal could be brewing in such a place? He found himself in the part of town where even the rats wore tiny helmets to protect themselves from falling debris. It was a rough neighborhood, the kind of place where you had to watch your back at all times. He was looking for a man named Fingers. Fingers was a legend in these parts, known for his ability to procure just about anything. If you needed something, Fingers was your guy. Fingers was known to have connections. He had a network that spanned the entire city, and he could get his hands on things that most people couldn't even dream of. Jacko finally spotted Fingers in a dark alleyway. The man was a shadowy figure, always lurking in the background, never fully revealing himself. The man was hunched over a rickety table, mumbling to a jar of pickled eggs. "Fingers?" Jacko asked cautiously. Fingers didn't look up. He was engrossed in whatever he was doing, and Jacko felt a shiver run down his spine. "You smell that?" he rasped. "That's the smell of opportunity." His voice was rough like gravel, and it sent chills down Jacko's spine. On the table, nestled between a mouldy loaf of bread and a jar of suspicious-looking liquid, was a small pouch. It looked unassuming, but Jacko knew better than to judge by appearances. "Magic beans?" Jacko scoffed, picking up the pouch. "Don't insult me." He had heard of scams like this before, and he wasn't about to fall for it. Fingers finally looked up, a glint in his one good eye. "Magic seeds, boy." His tone was serious, and Jacko could tell he wasn't joking. "These babies are the real deal." Jacko was hooked. He could feel the excitement building inside him. This was it, the opportunity he'd been waiting for. He'd always wanted a taste of the extraordinary. The mundane life he led was suffocating, and he craved something more, something magical. And these seeds, they promised something big. Jacko could almost see his future changing before his eyes. He knew he had to take the chance, no matter the risk. There was just one small problem. Actually, it was more of a feathery, clucking problem named Gertrude. She was no ordinary hen. Gertrude was Jacko's prize-winning hen, the pride of his small farm. She was his only consistent source of income, laying eggs that were the talk of the town. Unfortunately, she was also the only thing Fingers would accept as payment for the magic seeds. "You want my Gertrude?" Jacko asked, his voice trembling. Jacko choked, clutching the hen close, feeling her warmth and the soft rhythm of her clucks. Gertrude clucked nervously, sensing the gravity of the situation. Her eyes darted around, looking for an escape. Fingers just grinned, revealing a smile that could curdle milk. He knew he had Jacko cornered. "Take it or leave it, kid." His voice was as cold as the winter wind. "This offer expires faster than a priest at a pie-eating contest." Jacko's mind raced, weighing his options. Could he really give up Gertrude? She was family. The thought of losing her was unbearable, but then again, magic seeds, they promised a future beyond his wildest dreams. With a heavy heart and a grumbling stomach, Jacko handed over his beloved hen. His hands shook as he let her go. Gertrude let out a mournful cluck as if to say, "I always suspected you were an idiot." Jacko watched her go, feeling a pang of regret. Jacko practically skipped home, his heart light and his mind filled with dreams of a prosperous future. The pouch of seeds bounced merrily in his pocket, each jostle a promise of the riches they would bring. He burst through the door, startling his wife, Agnes, who was busy darning socks with a look of perpetual disapproval etched on her face. "Agnes, my love," he announced, his voice brimming with excitement. "Prepare to be amazed. Our lives are about to change." Agnes raised an eyebrow, her needle poised menacingly in mid-air. "And what, pray tell, has gotten into you now?" Did you find a way to turn manure into gold? She asked sarcastically, her voice dripping with disbelief. Jacko, oblivious to her sarcasm, presented the pouch with a flourish. Magic seeds, Agnes. They'll grow into riches beyond our wildest dreams. Agnes's eyebrow shot up so high it threatened to disappear into her hairline. Magic seeds? You traded Gertrude for magic seeds? She snatched the pouch, her face a mask of fury. Before Jacko could react, she stormed out to the garden, screaming, "I'll show you magic!" And with a flourish, she emptied the pouch onto the ground and relieved herself on them. Jacko stood there, stunned, as Agnes's actions sank in. He had hoped for a joyous reception, a shared dream of wealth and prosperity. Instead, he was met with anger and disbelief. The seeds, which he believed to be magical, now lay on the ground, soaked and discarded. His dreams of riches seemed to vanish in an instant. Agnes, still fuming, turned back to Jacko. "If these seeds don't sprout gold, you'll be sleeping in the barn for a month." Jacko could only nod, his earlier excitement now replaced with a sinking feeling of dread. The seeds had better be magical, or he was in for a rough time. As the sun set, Jacko stood by the garden, hoping against hope that the seeds would prove their worth. Only time would tell if his gamble would pay off. And with that, the seeds of both hope and discord were sown, leaving Jacko to ponder the uncertain future that lay ahead. Would the seeds bring fortune or folly? Only the dawn would reveal the answer.
Jacko hurried his wife along, and they went to bed. When they awakened, it was later than usual. The morning light, which typically acted as their alarm, was blocked by a giant leaf. This leaf was part of an even larger vine that stretched into the sky before sharply turning downwards into the ground. The vine had split the earth with a fissure wide enough to fit a house in. Steam and smoke billowed out from below, and fire rose out of the crevasse. Screaming hellbound demons crawl out as Jacko runs over, slaying them.
Dispatching them one by one.
Jacko enters the pit, fighting his way to the bottom of this mess he unintentionally started. Jacko makes it to hell, and there is the devil. Jacko sneaks up behind the devil's throne and hears him talk about the future of the town. "Oh yeah, we're totally shaking and baking the place, like the big one, what a pity. Rocking their city." Hearing this, Jacko rushes back to the town and warns the village constable. The constable takes a trip to the vine and then makes haste to warn the citizens. Mere minutes after the siren sound, the earthquake starts. No houses catch fire thanks to Jacko's warning. Jacko knows there is more that he can get from hell, so he returns that evening. He sneaks into the throne room, but the devil isn't there.
Jacko heads downstairs, where he finds the devil weeping on the toilet.
Eyes of tears. What a failure for the years that I shall have to swallow. Flood in the laughter after the deluge on the morrow. Jacko rushed to the town and warned the constable. Quick thinking, they dug a trench from the hole to the nearest river. When the rain started to flow, so did the river. As the river grew, it poured over the bank and into the trench, where it was carried away into the pit of hell. The devil, trapped in the pit, drowned, and when the rain stopped, the town lived happily ever after. As for Jacko, his wife now sells her magic piss, and they live a modest life off the profits.
Pisstalk.